Hello there. Thank you so much for joining me for this reading session. My name is Tina Isaacs, and I'm going to read you a short story that I published in the Under the Her Black Wings 2020 Women of Horror Anthology. It's published by Candisha Press, and this is a list of the authors inside. And it is also with a foreword by Brandon Scott, author of Vadao and Slight, Devil Dog Press. Okay, so since it's an international publication, and I believe I'm the only Malaysian author in the set, so I thought I'd contribute something that is a bit, how to say, representative of Southeast Asia. The quintessential woman of horror, I thought, would be the Pontianak. So here we go. This is my story titled Pontianak. The evening I met her, I'd been driving a rented SUV en route to Tanjung Karang, about 50 miles out of Kuala Lumpur. The fortnight's fully immersive homestay experience that awaited me had come at a steal. But my obstinance at traveling without a guide was coming back to bite me in the ass. My GPS was malfunctioning, and I was having to admit begrudgingly the fact that I was somewhat lost. As in completely incognizant of my location, despite the directions that a gas station attendant had helpfully supplied just an hour earlier. On either side of my Ford Ranger were rows and rows of rubber and ripe palm oil trees. Twilight was fast approaching, and the sky was awash with nature's canvas of vibrant blue, orange, and red. The rain from half an hour prior left muddy ditches on a narrow track of dirt and gravel. After spending over 3 hours at a truck with no air conditioning, I was all sweaty, my body ached, and the stifling heat was taking a toll on my patience. I know, I should have parted with a few more bucks, an exorbitant 70 ringgit actually, for a better car. I didn't because, for a genuine privilege, I had chosen delayed gratification. To learn things. Just as I was about to succumb to the idea of making a U-turn, I spotted a figure about a mile ahead, walking to the right side of the road. As my truck neared, I could make out a young woman. My headlights illuminated the sway of her derriere, moving with the cadence of a natural, gentle gait. A white gown fell to her dainty feet. Her straight black hair billowed like a smooth curtain down her back. I struck my head and arm out of the window and affixed a warm smile as I drew abreast. Although it was almost dark, I could see she was a hottie. No older than 20, she had enticing almond eyes, a cute button nose on a heart-shaped face. She was lightly tanned and had such flawless skin, her lithe body sensually curved in the right places. Did I say lithe? A hint of a smile played on her rosebud lips as she turned towards me. Her ethereal beauty struck me dumb, and I felt a sharp flare of lust enfold my groin. What on earth? I never reacted that quickly to a girl before. Was this what they meant by lust at first sight, I mused? I mean, there's no harm looking, right? Hello there, I prompted, in a non-threatening voice as possible, maintaining a congenial stance. Are you heading to the direction of Kampong Pinang? I doubted the village girl understood a word of English, but was surprised when she responded with a nod and shy smile. We continued this way for a few moments, me in my rumbling truck and she on foot, as I pondered if it was bad form for an American man to give a young village girl a lift in their vehicle. Many Asian villages were pious and quite traditional. Even casual interaction between the opposite sex was frowned upon in these parts. I'd heard of numerous urban legends of weapon-wielding fathers coming after foreigners who flouted their daughters' chastity. As a seasoned traveler, I knew better than to overstep my welcome. But, color me horny, something about this girl made my inner Neanderthal want to roar free. The evening was fast darkening. Glancing towards the long road ahead, I decided to take my chances and pull the vehicle to a stop. Would you like a lift? At first, she tilted her head sideways and seemed to chew over my question. Then before I could blink, she had skipped around the front headlights and opened the passenger door, hopped up onto the seat and pulled the door closed. I grinned back, my pulse aflutter. She smelled lovely. Sweet, potent jasmine and sandalwood. Her alluring aroma swirled and filled the truck cabin. I felt my pants tighten further in response. I swore under my breath. It brought me back to the days of being a ninth grader with a perpetual hard-on for the head cheerleader. Or any cheerleader for that matter. I raised my hand from its perch on the windowsill and decided to offer a safe wave. "Hi, I'm Jimmy. You?" I inquired, fighting the dryness in my throat. The nymph just smiled, looked down at her lap. In the semi-darkness, illuminated by the dashboard panel lighting, I caught adorable dimples peeking out at me. It was only when she turned to face the road that I saw that slight mar in her beauty. Her right cheek bore a deep scar about 2 inches long, from the tip of her lips to the bottom of her chin. It was an old heel scar, but the injury must have been serious at some point. Still, it did nothing to diminish her overall attractiveness. If at all, I remember thinking it just made her more human. She was a petite, timid thing, and I was enraptured, body and mind. I put the truck into gear and rumbled on, the beautiful young woman riding shotgun beside me. Once the vehicle resumed its momentum, I couldn't help but throw a quick glance at her body. Oh wow. I blinked, realizing she wasn't wearing a bra under that gauzy white dress. Her nipples were taut and straining against the material. My pulse quickened. Swallowing the watermelon-sized lump in my throat, I shifted in my seat and steadfastly kept my gaze ahead, concentrating on the truck motion at a loss for words. The interior was tense with anticipation. From outside, the sound of crickets and forest animals accompanied us, while her captivating fragrance tickled my nose. As I continued to drive, I slowly took my right hand away from the steering and adjusted my boner. We couldn't have traveled for more than 2 miles before I was surprised to feel her small hand clasp my thigh. An electric zing raced through my body and I jerked in my seat, my left leg slamming on the brakes in reflex. We were both thrown forward for a moment. The engine instantly stalled and the vehicle spluttered to a resounding stop. I spluttered an apology, and as I fumbled with the keys, but the fucking thing wouldn't cooperate. The minx merely threw back her head and released a carefree laugh, a pleasant tinkling sound, as if I hadn't almost crashed us into a ditch. It was infectious and I couldn't help but join her. When we quietened down, I looked at her expectantly, drawn to those pink lips. They looked downright edible. Imagine my surprise when she shifted closer towards me. I stilled and swallowed hard, my eyes zeroing on her long nails that were straying too close, a tad too close, to the jackpot. All rational thought flew out the window. My blood boiled with lust. The strain in my pants was becoming painful. Then, the mysterious girl leaned over. I was at a tipping point when the blaring of a vehicle horn sounded behind me. Fuck that, I huffed, pivoting in my seat to glare at the lorry signaling to overtake us. By the time I turned back, I was taken aback and, let's face it, downright crestfallen, to see that the girl had opened the passenger door and popped out. Without so much as a backward glance, she disappeared into a path amongst the bushes. A second blare sounded as the lorry completed its overtaking. I rushed out and flipped the driver the bird, and then ran around the front of the truck. My eyes searched frantically into the semi-darkness for the escaped girl, but I couldn't make out the path she'd taken. Damn it, I shouted my frustration to the dust skyline. Feeling foolishly dejected, my gaze settled on my stupid truck, blocking the middle of the road, and I knew I had no other option than to continue my journey alone. I drove on with heavy thoughts, hardly cognizant of the road ahead, although I was now half a day behind schedule and hopelessly lost. Thankfully, 10 minutes later, I spotted a signboard marking the entry into Kampung Pinang. If you'd like to find out more about what happens to our Jimmy and the mysterious girl, does he get to meet up with her later? Don't forget to get yourself a copy of the Under Her Black Wings Anthology 2020 Women of Horror, published by Kandisha Press. As I said earlier, these are the authors that are featured in this book. It's available on Amazon and also as an ebook. I hope you enjoyed everything and enjoyed my read. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye bye.